Thank you for watching. Subscribe on Betrayed Man's Diary for more stories. My name's Jake, and up until a few weeks ago, I was just a regular husband trying to do something sweet for his wife. Her name is Amanda. We've been married for 10 years, have 2 kids, and I thought we were in a good place, maybe a little tired, a little stuck in the routines of parenthood, but still solid. That night was supposed to be something special. It had been a long time since Amanda and I had a proper night out. Between work, the kids, and the constant rhythm of everyday life, we hadn't really done anything just for us in months. So I made a plan. Something small, but meaningful. My parents live about an hour and a half away, and they're great with the kids. I called them earlier in the week, arranged for the boys to stay with them for the weekend. Amanda didn't know. I wanted it to be a surprise, no planning, no pressure, just an open evening for the two of us to reconnect. I even made reservations at one of her favorite restaurants downtown and scoped out a couple of cozy bars nearby where we could grab a few drinks after dinner. Everything was set. I left the house around 8:30 that Saturday morning, loaded up the kids, and told Amanda I'd be gone all day, as usual. Typically, when I visit my parents, I don't come back until evening. We spend the day catching up, eating lunch, letting the kids play. But this time, I had no intention of sticking around long. I was just dropping the kids off and heading straight back. I wanted to be home by early afternoon so I could shower, maybe set up a little note or flowers to kick off the night. I was actually kind of excited, more excited than I'd been in a while. I thought, she's going to love this. I made good time. Dropped the kids off with hugs and a see you tomorrow, then hit the highway back home. The whole drive, I kept picturing Amanda's smile when I'd walk through the door and tell her we had the whole night to ourselves. By the time I pulled into our neighborhood, it was about 12:20. The streets were mostly empty, quiet, like they always are around midday on weekends. But as I turned onto our block, something caught my eye. A truck was parked right in front of our house. It wasn't a total anomaly, people have guests, deliveries, whatever. But still, it didn't sit right with me. I didn't recognize the vehicle. It was a beat-up gray Ford with a lift kit and dark-tinted windows. Not something any of our immediate neighbors drove, and definitely not the kind of car Amanda would have mentioned someone borrowing. I slowed down as I approached, trying to catch a look inside, but the windows were too dark. I parked my car 2 houses down instead of pulling into the driveway, just to keep things low-key in case I was wrong about what my gut was telling me. I sat there for a minute, my mind suddenly turning over a dozen possibilities. Was it someone from her work? A contractor? A friend I didn't know about? Or was I letting my imagination get ahead of me? Still, I couldn't shake the weird feeling building in my chest. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened the dash compartment, grabbed my small GoPro, which I usually use for road trips, and tucked it into my jacket pocket. I've used it enough to know how to turn it on and let it record without making a sound. And then, heart thudding against my ribs, I walked up the side of the house and let myself in through the back door. I let myself in through the basement door. It's the quieter entrance, creaky stairs, but no view from the front of the house. At that point, I was still holding onto a sliver of hope that maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe the truck out front really was just someone visiting a neighbor and I was overthinking everything. But that hope didn't last long. I'd barely taken a few steps into the basement when I heard the sounds coming from upstairs. At first, I froze. The noises were faint, muffled by the floorboards, but unmistakable. Low moans, soft gasps. My first thought, maybe she was alone. Maybe Amanda was just taking some personal time. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time a couple needed space to handle their own needs, and I didn't want to shame her for something private. My hand was already on the doorknob, ready to slip back out and make noise through the garage to let her know I was home, give her a heads up, some dignity. But then, I heard him. A man's voice. I can't even tell you what he said, it wasn't the words, it was the sound of it. Deep, intimate, familiar in a way that twisted my stomach. My ears rang. My vision narrowed. In a split second, that sliver of hope vanished and was replaced by a cold, nauseating certainty. There was another man in my house. In my living room. With my wife. And they weren't just talking. My chest felt like it was collapsing in on itself. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My hands were shaking as adrenaline flooded every inch of my body. I didn't want to fight. I wasn't there to make a scene. I wasn't going to scream or flip a table. I just needed to see. I needed the proof that I wasn't just losing my mind. I moved slowly, one step at a time, up the basement stairs. Each creak of the wood sounded like thunder to me, but I don't think they heard a thing. The door at the top of the stairs was cracked open halfway. I gently nudged it with my foot and stepped into the kitchen. It was empty. But the sounds were louder now, clearer. They were coming from the living room. Groaning, breathy laughter, skin on skin. There was no mistaking it anymore. They were right there. Just a few feet away. Around the corner. I stood motionless in the kitchen, the refrigerator humming like it didn't have a clue that the world was ending 3 feet away from it. I wanted to look. God, did I want to look? But I knew the second I leaned out into the living room, they'd see me. There was no good angle, no way to peek without revealing myself. So I did the next best thing. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and opened the camera app. My hands trembled so badly it took me 3 tries just to get it into video mode. I steadied my breath, crouched slightly, and slowly extended my arm around the wall, just enough to angle the lens into the living room without them seeing. I didn't need audio. The images were enough. What I saw through the screen confirmed everything in an instant. My wife, the woman I'd kissed goodbye just hours earlier, tangled up with a man I'd never seen before. His hands were on her. Her voice, that voice, the one I used to hear late at night when we were the only ones awake, now gasping and breathless for someone else. My mind disconnected. I wasn't even angry in that moment. I wasn't even there. It was like watching someone else's life implode through a screen. But it was mine. Even now, sitting here trying to put it into words, my hands are shaking. I can feel my throat tighten just remembering the moment, the second my worst fear became something I could see. That was my house. My couch. My wife. I'm not going to describe what they were doing. You already know. And even if I tried to put it into words, it wouldn't come close to the feeling that surged through me in that moment. It wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me, like I was suddenly floating in this surreal, silent horror show. I hit record. I don't even remember deciding to. It was just instinct. A part of me knew that whatever came next, I'd need proof. Not to punish her, not even necessarily to confront her, but to keep myself from ever doubting that this really happened. That I wasn't just losing my mind. It went on for several minutes. I don't know how I didn't scream. I could feel something rising inside of me, pressing hard against my chest like it was trying to claw its way out. Rage. Sadness. Shock. It was all tangled together. But I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched. Then, like nothing had happened, Amanda pulled herself off him. She laughed. Laughed. And said something about going upstairs to the bedroom. My bedroom. She joked about how much time they still had left before I came home, like they were on a clock. Like my life was some time slot they were trying to squeeze their affair into. They got up and disappeared up the stairs. Once the living room was empty, I finally moved. I stepped around the corner and into the room, my body moving like it belonged to someone else. That's when I saw his jeans lying in a pile next to the couch. His wallet was peeking out of the pocket. I don't even know what I was thinking, maybe I wasn't thinking at all. I grabbed it, pulled out his driver's license, and snapped a few pictures with my phone. I know his name now. His face. His address. I've never met him. No clue how Amanda even knows him. But in that moment, he went from a stranger to the centerpiece of the worst day of my life. I didn't linger. I left the house the same way I came in, through the basement, out the side yard, and back to my car parked 2 houses down. Once I sat in the driver's seat and shut the door, the silence finally broke me. I cried. I don't mean a single tear, cinematic movie style. I mean full-on, soul-wrenching, body-shaking sobs. The kind of crying that makes you feel like something inside you has broken for good. I sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel, forehead pressed to it, gasping for air as the weight of what I'd just seen came crashing down. And then, God help me, I watched the video. I had to make sure it recorded. I needed to know I hadn't imagined it all. So I pressed play. And I watched it all over again. Every second. Every sound. Every moment that tore my heart in half. I sat in my car for at least 30 minutes. Not moving. Not thinking. Just existing in this awful, suspended state. I knew I couldn't drive to my parents' place to pick up the kids. I wasn't ready to face them, to paste on a fake smile and pretend everything was fine while every nerve in my body was still buzzing with betrayal. So I made a different decision. I pulled into the driveway, opened the garage like I was just getting home from a regular trip, and put on my best performance. I didn't want her to know I knew, not yet. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. All I knew was that I couldn't confront her without completely breaking down, and I didn't want her to see me like that. I took my time walking into the house. I banged the car door, hit the garage button loudly, rustled some bags as if I was bringing something in. I wanted her to hear me. I wanted to give her time. And when I finally walked through the door, there she was. Amanda. Flustered. Hair up, cheeks a little too pink, dressed in a robe she rarely wore unless she was feeling, well, you know. She acted surprised to see me, asking why I was home so early, eyes darting slightly like she was calculating how much time had passed. She claimed she was about to take a bath. Her voice had this edge of forced casualness, like she was trying way too hard to act normal. I played along. I told her about my plans, that I'd arranged for a surprise night out, made dinner reservations, dropped the kids off early so we could have some alone time. I watched her reaction closely. She lit up. Smiled. Kissed me on the cheek and said, "You're the sweetest, babe." Then she poured us both a glass of wine and suggested we pregame before getting ready. I barely said a word. I could feel myself drifting, like my mind had left the room and was watching everything unfold from the ceiling. She sat next to me on the couch, talking fast, making jokes, sipping her wine like everything was fine. Like she hadn't just been with another man 15 minutes ago in the very spot we were sitting. And then she leaned in. She started kissing me. Touching me. I didn't stop her. I don't know why I didn't stop her. Maybe I just wanted to pretend for a moment that it wasn't real. That I hadn't seen what I saw. Maybe I needed to feel like I still had some piece of her left, even if it was all an illusion. Maybe I was just too numb to move. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him. That guy. Sneaking down the upstairs hallway, slipping silently into the basement stairwell. No eye contact. No acknowledgement. Just shadows disappearing into shadows. And I didn't say a thing. I let her continue. It haunts me, that moment. Since that day, I haven't been the same. The video, I've watched it over and over. Not because I want to. Not because I get anything from it. But because I don't know what else to do. It's like I'm stuck in a loop, reliving the most painful thing I've ever experienced because it feels more real than the fake life she keeps trying to maintain around me. She knows something's off. She's asked me more than once if I'm okay. I always nod. Smile. Say I'm tired, or that work's been rough. I can't tell her the truth. Not yet. I feel worthless. Broken. Like I'm walking around inside a skin that doesn't fit anymore. And every time I hit a low point, which is often, I pull up the video again. It's like I need to remind myself that it really happened. That this isn't some dream. That I didn't imagine the whole thing. I think I've watched it at least 10 times a day since I caught them. And every time, it feels like dying all over again. One night, she said she was going out with a friend. Just a casual dinner, some wine, maybe a little gossip, nothing out of the ordinary. Amanda had been doing this more often lately. Going out, being busy, keeping things vague. But this time, I wasn't content to sit home, gnawing on my doubts. So I played along. Told her I had work. A late shift. Something that would keep me out past the kids' bedtime. I even called a sitter like it was just another normal night in a well-rehearsed routine. After she left and the sitter arrived, I grabbed my jacket and slipped out the door, heart already pounding even though I hadn't done anything yet. I didn't go to work. Instead, I went to a bar not far from the restaurant Amanda said she'd be at. I nursed a couple of drinks, trying to steady myself. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The alcohol helped a little, dulled the noise in my head, but it couldn't drown the anxiety churning in my gut. After about an hour, I drove over to the restaurant. Her car was there. Seeing it made my stomach twist into knots. I parked at the far end of the lot, cut the engine, and just sat there, staring at that car like it might tell me something. I kept imagining the worst, walking in and finding her there with him. Laughing. Holding hands. Living some other life where I didn't exist. Eventually, I worked up the nerve to go inside. The plan was to keep a low profile, get in, get a glimpse, and get out. Just enough to see if my suspicions were right. But fate had other ideas. She saw me the second I stepped through the door. She was sitting at a booth near the front, across from her friend. Not some stranger. Just her and a familiar face, sipping wine, half a salad left untouched on the table. Her eyes widened the moment they locked with mine. And then came the predictable conversation. "What are you doing here? I thought you were working tonight." I played my part. Shrugged and smiled. Work let out early. Figured I'd stop by, say hi, since we have a sitter and all. She smiled, looked surprised but not alarmed. Her friend greeted me politely, and I sat down with them for a drink. We talked for maybe 20 minutes, mostly surface-level stuff. She didn't seem suspicious, just a little thrown off. I kept glancing at her, trying to find cracks in the mask. But if she was hiding something, she was hiding it well. I left soon after, claiming I didn't want to leave the sitter too long. The whole way home, I was quiet. The house felt too big when I stepped inside, too still. I paid the sitter, gave her a friendly goodbye, and went through the motions of getting the kids into bed like I was some ghost wandering through a version of my own life. All this time, I'd been sitting on the truth. Holding on to it like some cursed secret that was burning a hole through my chest. My own instincts had been telling me, "You need to confront her." And that night, I knew they were right. I waited for her to come home. Sat in the living room with the lights low, staring at the clock as the minutes dragged by. My thoughts were loud, bouncing between revenge, pain, fear. I didn't know what I was going to say, I just knew I couldn't keep pretending anymore. While I waited, I pulled out my phone. And I watched the video again. Not because I needed to see it, but because I needed to remember. I needed to feel it, raw and unfiltered, so I didn't back down. This was it. The end of the lie. It was after midnight by the time Amanda came through the door. I heard the key turn in the lock, the soft creak of the hinges, and the cautious click of her heels as she stepped inside. I didn't move from the couch. I just sat there in the shadows, elbows on my knees, staring at the darkened TV screen like it could keep me steady. She paused when she saw me. "Jake," she said, her voice uncertain. "You scared me, I didn't think you'd still be up." I didn't answer right away. Just turned my head slightly and said, "We need to talk." That stopped her in her tracks. She set her purse down slowly, eyes flicking toward the hall like maybe she was considering walking away instead. But she didn't. She walked over and sat across from me, folding her hands tightly in her lap. "I know something's wrong," she said softly. "I've felt it for days." I nodded once. "Yeah. Something is wrong." She swallowed hard. I could already see the tears forming. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't even know where to begin." "Then start at the beginning," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Tell me everything. No lies. No half-truths. I want the whole story." She closed her eyes, and for a second, I thought she might stay silent. But then the dam broke. "It happened twice," she said, barely above a whisper. "I don't even know why I let it happen. I was lonely, I was stupid, and it just happened." There was no anger in her voice. Just guilt. Heavy, choking guilt. "I ended it," she said quickly. "I realized how far I'd gone, how much I was risking. I blocked him, deleted his number, his messages. Facebook, Instagram, everything. I swear, Jake." I watched her carefully. "And he knew you were married the whole time?" She nodded, tears now streaming down her cheeks. "Yes. He knew. I told him right away." The silence between us stretched long. Then she said, in a broken voice, "I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I need you to know how sorry I am. I hate myself for what I did to you. To us." I looked down at the floor. My hands were shaking. "You didn't just break my trust," I said. "You made me question everything, who I am, what we had. I can't even look at you without seeing that night." She was sobbing now, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. "I'm so sorry," she kept repeating. "I don't know how I let this happen. I never stopped loving you, Jake. Not for 1 second." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But belief doesn't come easy after betrayal. Eventually, she stood and walked slowly toward the guest room. Before she closed the door behind her, she looked back and said, "If you want me to leave tomorrow, I will. Just, please think about everything before you decide." The door clicked shut. And I was alone again. Same couch. Same silence. But something had changed. Now I had answers. They didn't make me feel better. But they were real. The days that followed our late-night confrontation were quieter than I expected. Not silent, just measured. Everything felt like it was being handled with gloves on, as if any wrong move might shatter the fragile calm we'd managed to reclaim. Surprisingly, things between Amanda and me felt better. Not healed, but better. There was some small relief, if I'm being honest, in finally having everything laid bare. No more hidden truths. No more guessing. Just reality, raw and painful, but real. We talked. A lot. Sometimes just for a few minutes over coffee, sometimes late into the night, lying on opposite ends of the couch, whispering through the dark. She didn't try to defend herself anymore. She just listened. And when she spoke, it wasn't about excuses. It was about regret. About wanting to rebuild. About loving me and hating what she'd done. It felt like we were taking slow, careful steps back toward something familiar. Something that looked a little like the life we used to have. I told her, plainly, that if she ever spoke to that guy again, if she even thought about reaching out, then whatever we were trying to salvage would be over on the spot. She nodded without hesitation. Still, trust doesn't snap back into place like a rubber band. It's more like broken glass, something you can try to glue together, but you'll always see the cracks if you look closely enough. I have an upcoming work trip, something I've known about for weeks but now dread. 3 days out of town. My boss told me flat out I had to go. I can't afford to say no. I told Amanda I wasn't comfortable being gone, not yet. Her response surprised me. She said, "Then put cameras up if you need to." I get it. If it makes you feel better, do it. I don't know if that made me feel more secure or more broken. The fact that she's willing to be watched just to earn back my trust, it says something. I'm just not sure what. I'll probably do it. I hate that I even have to consider it, but the thought of being gone while she's here alone, unmonitored. I don't think I'd sleep a minute. The kids have no clue any of this happened. That's one thing we've done right, we've kept it away from them. They laugh the same, ask the same questions at dinner, fight over cartoons like always. They don't see the shift in their parents. And God, I hope they never do. We've even started doing family things again. Movie nights. Pancake breakfasts on Sunday. And in those small, quiet moments, I sometimes catch myself hoping, truly hoping, that we might make it out of this. That we'll find a way back to normal, whatever that looks like now. But I'm not there yet. Because there's still that video. I've watched it a few more times. I don't want to, but I do. I tell myself it's to remind myself what really happened, to stop me from minimizing it. But maybe part of me just doesn't know how to let it go. Maybe I need that pain nearby because it makes the betrayal feel real. Tangible. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why I can't delete it. Why I keep returning to the worst moment of my life like it holds some kind of answer. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's grief. Or maybe it's just the part of me that still doesn't fully believe she's gone for good from him even if she swears she is. Either way, I'm trying. Every day. For myself. For our kids. And, somehow, still, for her. I don't know where this road leads. I only know I'm still walking it. Can love really survive something like this? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more incredible stories like this one.